No wonder they kept her tucked away. Kamala's media blitz kicked off with a total faceplant. The Veep struggling to answer some of the most basic questions on 60 Minutes.
Was it a mistake to loosen the immigration policies as much as you did?
It's a long-standing problem, and solutions are at hand. And from day one, literally, we have been offering solutions.
What I was asking was it a mistake to kind of allow that flood to happen in the first place?
I think the policies that we have been proposing are about fixing a problem, not promoting a problem, okay?
But the numbers did quadruple.
After that disaster, Kamala sprinting to the gals on The View for a pep talk. But even they couldn't stop Harris from turning into a walking GOP ad.
We have more with Vice President when we come. We're honored and proud to have you at this table.
If anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact. I think people are exhausted. And they're exhausted with the lies. They're exhausted with the selfishness.
And the cheerleading tour didn't end there. Harris then hopped on over to Howard Stern's studio for a sit-down that sounded more like a therapy session. Watch.
If he wins, God forbid, would you feel safe in this country? Would you stay in this country?
Howard, I'm doing everything I can to make sure he does not win.
I don't understand how my fellow Americans, I don't even understand how this election is close. And yes, I'm voting for you, but I would also vote for that wall over there.
You know, Dana, I'll start with you off of that last sound. You know, the amazing thing is Rachel Maddow said if Trump gets elected, she won't have a show. And now Kamala is making herself, she's turning into a victim. I mean, do they think that this is going to cause people to vote for her as opposed to Trump?
Well, ever since I can remember, and I remember like when President Bush won, they said that they were going to leave the country, and no one ever leaves because it's the best country. So we obviously know that's not true. Howard Stern says something interesting there that I've been hearing from other people on the right and the left saying that how could it possibly be that anybody would ever vote for that person? Well, that if you're thinking that and you want your candidate to win, you better just sit down because you are not being helpful right now. The vote is going to be very, very close. So everybody needs to understand that there are people who want to vote for her, there are people that want to vote for him, and the turnout is going to matter, and that is a big prophetic statement, isn't it? You said something that I think is interesting. She creates new ad content for her opponents every time she does TV. That happened in 2020. It got her in the penalty box at the White House. Remember, she'd do an interview, then she'd basically not be seen for 4 or 5 months, and she'd come out and she'd do it again. And I'm listening to Bill Whitaker, who I thought did a really nice job. And I just wonder, how can you work in a White House for so long and absorb so little? She couldn't answer just basic questions, and I'm going to put this on par with Katie Couric's interview with Sarah Palin. Republicans didn't want to admit it at the time, but they kind of knew in their gut, like, that wasn't good. This was not good for her. If you were tuning in for the first time, you know nothing about Kamala Harris, you left the interview still knowing nothing about Kamala Harris. If you know a little bit and you wanted to know a little bit more, then you were left even more sorely disappointed. And maybe you don't like President Trump, but you know who he is and what he has done. He's got a record. She doesn't, and she doesn't even act like she's been at the White House for the last 3.5 years. You know, Jesse, the truth is that David Whitaker, I mean, he did a great job. He pressed her 3 times on getting her to answer the question that whether it was a mistake changing the Trump-era policies that quadrupled the number of illegals coming into the country. She wouldn't answer the question. So here is a serious interview with a serious interviewer. She still doesn't answer the question.
Whitaker did a job, which is his job. He didn't do a great job. He just asked her all of the questions she should have been asked for months. This isn't hard stuff. Why'd prices go up? Why didn't you do anything about it? Why'd you do nothing on the border? She was struggling to answer why she's running for president, Judge. She was struggling to answer why she's even the nominee. She has all these plans to fix the problems that she hasn't fixed in 4 years. Okay, that's fine. she's not the president, she's the vice president. And then she goes on The View and says, I agree with everything the president's done. Judge Jeanine, a week ago at the debate, she said, I'm not Joe Biden. Now she says, I am Joe Biden. She flip-flopped on whether she's Joe Biden. And now she comes out and says this and that, you know, I haven't changed my positions. I'm just seeking common ground. She's not seeking common ground. She's seeking common sense. All of the positions that she's now adopted are common sense conservative positions on guns, on taxes, on immigration. She's just now come along late to the game. I'd rather vote for the guy that had common sense from the beginning than the woman who found common sense right before the election. It was very smart that Donald Trump didn't do 60 Minutes. If he had done 60 Minutes, everybody would have just contrasted his interview with hers, and his would have been explosive and confrontational. Now everybody's just talking about her failure on CBS News, and that's a position she does not want to be in.
You know, Harold, she was questioned and pressed on all of her changing positions, whether it's fracking, immigration, Medicare for all. And she said, people know me. They know who I am. Walt said the same thing. People know me. They know who I am. Does anyone know who either of them are?
I don't know. I'm glad to be back with you. I think that the 60-minute interview, Jesse, I wish the president had done, former President Trump had done, I think would probably have served him well from the standpoint of people understanding, again, what he wants to do the next 4 years, and it would allow for the contrast you mentioned. The reason I think presidents and candidates for president should always have to do 3 debates, and maybe we should divide it. They should do one on national security, one on economic security, inflation, and one in general, where they talk about their attitudes toward regulation, the courts, et cetera, is because it gives voters a sense of what the mandate might be, what they want to do, how they will go about working with Congress, how they will go about explaining things to the public. And unfortunately, we've not been afforded that. I agree with you, Dan. I'm not going anywhere. I'm an American. No one's going to take my country from me because they decide to elect someone I don't like. And people who are that shallow are indeed that shallow. We work for the next election if that's what you want, and you work with the person to try to make things better. Finally, what I don't understand with the vice president in these interviews, you have to, Judge, you're right, you have to use these opportunities to demonstrate not only that you understand where people are in their lives and how you're going to meet them and take them to higher ground, but talk about your ideas. I mean, wouldn't it be great if you talked about, and some people don't like when I say this, but to say that the tariffs are going to make things more expensive at stores in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh and Madison, Wisconsin. Name stores. If you're out campaigning, you can talk about real people that you've met, real stores that you've went in, how that's going to change the price of gas and food and clothes for kids and for adults. And if you want to say, I'm going to make small businesses, make it easier for them to grow, talk about your plans. But when you don't do that, you open yourself up for some of the, I think, legitimate criticism that's coming from this table here and legitimate concern that's coming from me.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.